Hey, Coach Nate here. Today we want to talk about 3 important ways to heal a running related back injury. I'm going to give you some of my favorite at-home remedies and tips you can do to get out of this hole. Hey guys, before we dig in here, just a little disclaimer. I'm not a doctor or physical therapist. I don't claim to play one on the internet. So if you have something that feels really sketchy and really unsafe, go see your physical therapist and go see your doctor, immediately. That's always going to be the best course of action. That being said, if we're dealing with some mild stiffness and discomfort, everything we do in this video is 100% safe. It's movement-based and it's strength-based, and it will help you out in the long run. So let's dig in. Now, when it comes to back-related injuries, we really need to talk about your running technique. And I'm going to give you one of my favorite posture-related run drills in a second. But before we go there, we just need to talk about why a lot of these injuries occur. Now, it doesn't matter if this is a low back, mid upper back, or something in the cervical spine, the neck. We could generally say that back injuries are really strongly related to excessive unsupported movement throughout the spine. And what I mean by unsupported movement is that I am not muscularly stabilizing, supporting my spine in the positions it needs to be in to be strong and safe. The spine is meant to move, but the problem is that if every time I run, I've got that little head bob, or my head starts to bounce back and forth, you know who you are, right? We're all of a sudden adding all this irritation and inflammation in this area, right? If I'm someone whose posture isn't the best, I'm not pointing fingers, but hey, you're watching this video, so maybe it's something to think about. Am I a little hunched over through the upper back? Am I on my phone where I'm just here? Am I on my computer, my emails here? Guys, we talk about this a lot because it's so important and it's like an epidemic now. It's a really big deal how our posture is affecting us. All of a sudden my thoracic spine is locked up. I'm not getting a lot of great movement through here. And then the other big thing, especially when it talks to our low back, is are we just not very strong and stable here? Am I that person who kind of stands here all the time, just waiting around? Do I tend to run when I get tired? Do I tend to arch that low back? Well, that better believe it puts a lot of pressure here. So in terms of our run drill, we need to get back to what's grounded, what feels good, what is aligned. And I want to make sure that I've got a few things in place. So I'm going to take my middle finger, my thumb, I'm going to put this right on my collarbone, and my index finger is going to go straight up. And this is going to be a nice way to just find a neutral head position. I'm going to make sure that my head's not jutted forward. I'm going to try to align my ears, my shoulders, hips, knees, my ankles. And a nice way of aligning everything is I'm going to squeeze my butt a little bit. That's going to come in later for another little tip we're going to do. But that locks my pelvis into a neutral position, because when I'm neutral and I'm supported, I'm safe. And then from here, what I'm going to do is just practice shifting my weight back and forth. This is a nice way to think about initiating running. By shifting my way forward, I can create a little bit of movement, and then eventually I'm going to take that step. So really important from an awareness standpoint, I want you to run in place. Hips are forward, shoulders are relaxed, everything's nice and aligned. And I'm just gonna think about shifting those hips forward as I initiate my run. So you guys see that. I'm tall, I'm connected. I could do this in place, if a little bit of heel toe rocking, just paying attention to where my head is, shoulders are down and back, hips are underneath me, my abs are turned on a little bit before I initiate the step, and then I do the same thing, jogging in place, and then I initiate that way. Adding this posture drill into, hey, the next couple runs, if your back's pretty sensitive and you can't run that far, just do the standing in place stuff. If you can run a little bit, try the jogging in place and initiate from there. Now, when we go to the source of these back-related injuries, we gotta look at our hips, because like 99% of the time, especially when we're dealing with low back-related injuries, tight hips are the culprit, or at least one of the stars of the show, if you will. So we need to have a good strategy to open those hips up, to undo that time we spend seated at work, in the car, and everything else. And we can attack this from a few different angles. One of our favorite ways to open up our hips from a more gentle, dynamic standpoint is to get into our hip circle position, where this right leg is going to be extended, this left leg is going to be here, and I'm just really focusing on this back hip. And notice that I could drop this knee to the ground, I could try to squeeze my butt and bring this chest up as a way of opening up my hips here. I could just get some circles, and a little gentle movement feels good. Because a lot of times if you've just come back from an injury and you haven't moved for a day or two, movement is what's going to get you out of this hole. But we just want that to be the right movement. We want it to be strong and stable. So making sure I add some in here will be really helpful. Notice again, I can squeeze my butt. I can keep my abs turned tight as I do this, and I just want to be gentle. One of my other favorite stretches is just a hip flexor stretch where I add a little bit of quad in there. So I can stand here and I can just think about squeezing my butt and pushing my hip open this way. And one of my favorite things to do, if you're a little less flexible, you may want to grab a rope or a belt and put that around your foot. But otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to pick this leg up and you're just going to hang out here. So this is kind of like a version of that standing quad stretch, but I'm on my knee. I can get a little bit more hip extension, and I can just get a little bit more out of this quad as well. So again, abs are on tight. If you've ever watched any of our videos around the couch stretch, you know that we're not letting ourselves arch through the low back. And again, I'm just opening up my quads here. I'd like to spend, maybe 2 minutes here. I'm in the soft grass earth, so my knee doesn't feel too much pressure, but if I was on a harder floor, I'd want a little pad for my knee or something like this. So hip circles, working on this is a way of opening up my hip flexors, making that low back a little bit more open. And then finally, I want to get into these big beefy areas right here, which we call our QL, and we want to open this up as well, because this is the area, especially on the low backs, that really lock up and tighten up a lot. So I could take a lacrosse ball, I could take a little roller, my trusty little coffee mug here, and I'm just going to shift into one side above that hip bone, and I'm just going to shift back and forth this way. Good. It's kind of hard to see in this grass, but I'm just laying on this thing. This thing is just right here. I'm just putting my weight in it, and I'm just sort of I'm on my elbow. I'm just kind of gently rolling in, back and forth. Breathing. You can be as supported or as unsupported as you want. Start with something a little softer if you're unsure. Even one of like the softer white foam rollers is great. But if you can go to something that's a little bit more pinpointed, that can be a great way to get into this area of your low back. And if you do this in conjunction with opening up your hips, with your core strength, and of course with your posture drills, you're going to be much more aware, you're going to be much more stronger, connected, you're going to be much more open, and that's going to get you out of this hole a lot faster. Good luck. Hey, one more thing, if you found these exercises helpful, drop us the old thumbs up at the bottom of that video. It really helps us out a lot. We can't even tell you. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, video requests, things you'd like to see from us, I don't know, go ahead and drop those in the comments. We, as real human beings, will actually write back to you. Crazy concept, but it will happen. Of course, subscribe to our channel too, guys. We got new videos coming out each and every week, not only on strength training and injury prevention, but running technique, how to run a faster marathon, how to run a faster 5K, heck, how to run faster in general. Speaking of, you may find this video just to my left over here, very good watching material. And so go ahead and check that out. So guys, I gotta go. I'm gonna stop rambling because I gotta film more of these things, and I will see you in the next video.